From the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening, coming to you live from the National News Studio. Welcome to news. My name is Richards.
And I'm Jitumi Jaratna. Now let's take a look at today's headlines.
An extraordinary gazette declaring several services including electricity supply and petroleum products as essential services. Plantation community expresses gratitude to the government regarding the daily wage increase. A set of guidelines to streamline provision of grants for businesses affected by Cyclone Ditwa. Sri Lankans living in Israel advised to remain constantly vigilant over crisis situation in the Middle East. Iran declares a naval exercise in the Gulf region.
Moving on to those stories and more in detail, an extraordinary gazette declared several notification has been issued declaring several services as essential services.
Well, this notification was issued by President Andukumar Dissanayake by virtue of the powers vested in him under Section 2, that's of the Essential Public Services Act number 61 of 1979. The Gazette includes a wide range of services such as all services connected to the supply of electricity, the supply or distribution of fuel, including petroleum products and gas, all work, labor and services necessary for maintenance, reception, care, feeding and treatment of patients in hospitals, nursing homes and dispensaries and other similar institutions. Well, these services have been gazetted to maintain normalcy in public life following the post-disaster situation caused by Cyclone Ditwa. Accordingly, all services related to irrigation, telephone communications and media, as well as agricultural and agricultural insurance services have been declared essential. The Extraordinary Gazette further specifies that the mandate covers water supply, drainage and sewerage systems, firefighting and ambulance services, waste removal activities carried out by local government authorities. It also includes all services performed by local government authorities. Well, the agreement to increase the daily wage of estate workers community was signed yesterday. And this estate community have expressed their deep appreciation to the government in this regard, and accordingly the daily wage of the plantation labour community will increase up to 1,750 rupees with effect from this month. Parallel to the increase increments proposed by the public and private sectors in the 2025 budget, President Andukumar Dissanayake had also proposed increasing the estate workers' daily wage to 1,700 rupees. Following this, Minister Samantha Widyarathna, Deputy Minister Sundaralingam Pradeep and several other stakeholders engaged in continuous discussions regarding the matter. As a result of these efforts, the wage hike of the estate worker community was successfully implemented. Accordingly, in presenting the budget for the year 2026, the President took steps to further increase the estate workers' wage to 1,750 rupees. Under this framework, the basic daily wage has been increased by 200 rupees, rising from 1,350 to 1,550 rupees, while the government had decided to provide an additional 200 rupees as an attendance allowance. The government has allocated 5,000 million rupees for the 2026 budget for this purpose. The salary increment is effective from January 1st this year.
Mr. Aruna Tilaka says that the education policy should have to be formulated by focusing attention on the qualified student population and not by considering on the special groups. The minister has made these remarks addressing a Mathur district dialogue on new education reforms yesterday.
The event was conducted under the theme "You Are the Future, Learn to Win the World" at the Sanasa Conference Hall in Nupe. A large group including MPs, ministers, intellectuals and university students were present. Minister Anura Tilaka said that even though the government had maintained 13 years of school education as a benchmark or standard, the education system as a whole is not sufficient to keep children engaged throughout those 13 years. The system does produce high achievers and exceptionally talented individuals who are capable of pursuing degrees at any university in the world. Parliamentarian Nishantha Samarabira said that to develop as a nation, it is capable of leading the children to the next era. The country has certain aspirations with this process. Within this process, shortcomings can occur, and that is why the government is maintaining maximum supervision. However, one thing must be understood. Even though the state taken over the government, the old state mechanism is still functioning in many places. This has not changed 100% yet. Therefore, there are places where people with malicious intent could infiltrate that cannot be prevented. Otherwise, there's no reason for a link of the nature being discussed to appear in this. However, under supervision, it has been discovered at one point that such a thing has happened. At that moment, the Prime Minister, or rather the Minister of Education, immediately took steps to stop and book from the release. And what did these people do? Even the country had taken a firm stance that such a thing should not happen and had stopped it. They brought every negative discussion into society.
The Korea International Cooperation Agency has stepped forward to strengthen Sri Lanka's national Triposha program. A record of discussion was recently signed with the government of Sri Lanka to formalize this collaboration. This agreement marks a significant milestone in bilateral development cooperation aimed at bolstering the national Triposha program throughout the climate resilience, locally sourced food systems. Under the agreement signed yesterday, a grant of $10 million was officially awarded. The project aims to increase the domestic production of high-quality maize, minimize reliance on imports, and ensure the long-term sustainability of Sri Lanka's flagship nutrition program for children and expectant mothers. The agreement was signed by Director General of the Department of External Resources Samantha Bandara and Secretary to the Ministry of Rural Development, Social Security and Community Empowerment Samantha Mantrinayaka on behalf of the Government of Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, Lee Yu Lee signed on behalf of the Korea International Cooperation Agency. The 4-year project is scheduled to commence next year, and it will be managed by the Government of Sri Lanka and relevant national agencies in partnership with the World Food Programme.
Well, the evaluation and award ceremony for the winners of the All-Ireland competitions held in conjunction with the International Conference on Climate Action and Disaster Prevention took place at Studio 3 of Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. Well, the conference was organized by the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union. To mark the occasion, Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, with the support of the Clean Sri Lanka National Program, organized a series of competitions under the theme A Clean, Green and Protected Tomorrow. Awards and certificates were presented today to the categories of the Speaker, All-Ireland School Oratory Competition, the Eco Canvas, All-Ireland School Art Competition and the Eco Frame Island-wide Short Film Competition. The oratory and art competitions were conducted under both junior and senior categories.
කොහොමද තමන්ගේ කලාත්මක හැකියාව අංශයේ 3 වන ජයග්‍රාහකයාද ජයග්‍රාහිකාවද ජයග්‍රාහිකාවක් ඉන්නේ අපිට ජේෂ්ඨ අංශය නියෝජනය කරමින් 10 වන ස්ථානය දිනාගන්නේ කොළඹ රාජකීය විද්‍යාලයේ DH සත්මිනු සෙනවිරත්න.
Chairman of Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, Gihan De Silva, said that in addition to having a summit or a festival, as a channel, SLRC wanted to see how it could involve children of Sri Lanka and engage them in this process of climate change and disaster management as future communicators. At a time when a culture of showing channels for money has been created as a national channel, fulfilling the national responsibility as a channel that shares knowledge and awareness. Director General Manoj Nadishana Amarasinghe said that as a media institution in Sri Lanka holding full membership of the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union, the corporation has taken national responsibility for a project organized in collaboration with that organization, focusing on how climate action in Sri Lanka aligns with global climate trends. The objective was not merely to broadcast a couple of environmental messages over a day or two. Rather, the institution dedicated a significant amount of airtime over a period of 3 to 4 months to discuss environment and disaster management, and to achieve this, national television put a great deal of effort and conducted a series of concurrent programs throughout that period.
Meanwhile, guidelines have been released to ensure the efficient and effective implementation on behalf of the program for businesses damaged by Cyclone Ditwa. The compensation applies to businesses losses incurred during the extensive disaster period that prevailed from 21st November to 31st December of last year. The guidelines were issued with the concurrence of the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. The primary objective is to review individual, small and micro enterprises whose operations were halted due to the disaster. Owners who opt for compensation without a formal damage assessment will receive a total of 500,000 rupees to restore their buildings. This will be paid in 2 installments, an initial payment of 300,000 rupees followed by the remaining 200,000 rupees once it is confirmed that the restoration work is underway. If the original structure was not built into standard, these funds may utilize to construct a safer permanent building or a section of one. Owners who choose a formal damage assessment are eligible for compensation based on the evaluated loss up to a maximum of 5 million rupees. It is important to note that those opting for this assessment are not eligible for the fixed 500,000 rupees grant. To apply for the 500,000 rupee grant, applicants must submit a completed application form, business registration certificate and trade license authorizations from relevant local authorities, copy of a valid identity document, 4 clear photograph of the damaged business premises and documents proving property ownership. For the 5 million rupees maximum compensation, applicants must provide the relevant documents along with the Divisional Secretariat Assessment Committee report and approval and a recommendation report from the National Building Research Organization regarding the land on which the building is situated. This one-time grant is awarded to the individual operating the business at the time of the disaster to facilitate a restart. If a business was operated on a rental basis, the business operator is eligible for the business-related grant, while the property owner may apply for compensation regarding the structural damage to the building. Individuals, small and micro businesses registered with either the Ministry of Industry or the Divisional Secretariat are eligible for a grant of 200,000 rupees per unit. Non-registered retail businesses operated within a permanent home structure as well as unregistered manufacturing industries and greenhouses are eligible for 50,000 rupees per unit. Street vendors and mobile traders, including those operating temporary stalls, are eligible for a grant of 25,000 rupees per unit. We'll be back with more local news after a short break.
இலங்கையை கட்டி எழுப்புவோம். அன்றிலிருந்து இன்று வரை தேசப்பற்றோடு உதித்த சுதந்திரம். எதிர்காலத்தை கட்டியெழுப்பும் திட சங்கல்பம் போடுவோம். இலங்கையை கட்டியெழுப்புவோம். பெருமைமிகு 78வது சுதந்திர தின கொண்டாட்டம் இலங்கை ஜனநாயக சோசலிச குடியரசின் கௌரவ ஜனாதிபதி அனுரக் குமார திசாநாயக் அவர்களின் தலைமையில் 2026 பிப்ரவரி 4ஆம் தேதி காலை 7 மணி முதல் சுதந்திர சதுக்க வளாகத்தில் பெருமிதத்துடன் நடைபெற உள்ளது. நாட்டின் 78வது சுதந்திர தின கொண்டாட்டங்களில் பெருமிதத்துடன் இணைந்து கொள்வோம்.
Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Welcome back. After the break, we continue with more local stories. The Embassy of Vietnam in Sri Lanka hosted a vibrant celebration that's of the Vietnamese Lunar New Year in Colombo to welcome the year of the horse. Well, this event served as a significant cultural bridge, bringing together Vietnamese diaspora and the Sri Lankan officials to honor the most sacred festival in the Vietnamese calendar. Ambassador Trinh Thi Tham opened the festivities by emphasizing the spirit of renewal and the deep-rooted cultural parallels between the two nations. The ceremony featured the traditional presentation of the iconic square sticky rice cake, and the custom of related envelopes are exchanged to symbolize luck and prosperity for the coming year.
Rất khéo léo. Bày mâm ngũ quả cũng đang diễn. Bánh tét là cách gọi bánh trưng của Việt Nam. Lại thấy ông đồ già bày một tàu giấy đỏ bên phố đông người quá có hạn.
Con muốn gì ăn?
Chuẩn bị chấm điểm.
You know that Vietnam and Sri Lanka has a very long traditional relations, and one of the things we share with each other, that is the culture. We learn about Sri Lankan culture, and we would like to introduce about Vietnamese culture to Sri Lankan friends. And today, one of the things we would like to introduce to you, that is the Lunar New Year, how Vietnamese people can celebrate Lunar New Year. You can see in my hands, this is a blossom, very popular in Vietnam during the Lunar New Year. The yellow color from the south of Vietnam and the pink color from the north of Vietnam. And even the sticky rice, we have two shapes. The square come from the north and the long come from the south. But all the thing we have is unity, like Sri Lankan people. So I'm very happy to serve here as Vietnam's ambassador to Sri Lanka. Very happy to see new positive development in our bilateral relations in all sectors, from politics, economics, trade, investment, culture, people-to-people links, and Buddhism connection. So we hope to see more events like this in Sri Lanka, so that Sri Lankan people can understand more about Vietnam, so that we can become closer to each other, and this will positively contribute to the tourism development of Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.
Veteran Canadian actress and comedy icon Catherine O'Hara, who was worldly famous for her role in Home Alone movie series, has passed away at the age of 71. Catherine O'Hara's agent told the BBC that she died on Friday at home in Los Angeles following a brief illness. She was best known for playing Kate McAllister, the mother of Kevin, in the hugely successful film Home Alone. Her performance, especially the moment she realized her son was left behind, became one of the most memorable scenes in the comedy film history. Macaulay Culkin, who played the lead role of Kevin in Home Alone, shared an emotional tribute for the late actress. Catherine O'Hara also gained international fame through films like Beetlejuice and later won major awards. Tributes poured in from actors, filmmakers and Canadian leaders, calling her a true legend of comedy.
Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa says that the government is bounded by its duty to elevate the health service to an optimum level. The minister had made these observations at the occasion of the vesting in the general public that several development projects of the Agalawatta Base Hospital in Pimura yesterday. Among the development projects completed, the construction of a basic treatment unit, the main corridor linking the ward complex and the archives building. In addition, the main entrance to the hospital and security units were also declared open. Minister Dr. Jayatissa also inspected the newly constructed facilities, which caters to the needs of a large group of residents, including Bulat Sinhala, Agalawatta and Pal in the Nuwara. He has also stated on this occasion that a sum of 60 million rupees has been set aside for the development of the Pimura hospital, and the amount will be increased to around 90 million rupees by next year.
According to the latest findings from Variety Research and their Anurameter tracking platform, President Anurakumara Dissanayake has made significant strides in fulfilling the core promises of his 2024 election manifesto. As of early 2026, the data-driven tracker confirms that several high-priority targets ranging from economic reforms to social welfare have been successfully met, marking a productive start to his administration policy implementation.
Speaking of Anurameter, what I saw at the moment was that out of 30 projects, there were 10 which were completed, and there were 10 more which are in progress, and then there were 10 which have not been achieved at the moment. But out of those 10 which are not completed, there were projects like changing the constitution or holding the provincial council elections. Now these things are, the people know that these things are not the things that a government can do right away after 1 or 2 years. So therefore I think the statistics may not tell us the whole story there. But out of the 10 which are completed, I just checked, and most of them were supporting the communities, the welfare scheme and the community benefits. And then the middle 10 which are in progress at the moment, most of them are related to the education and the job creation side. So I think if we look at the time frame, the things are continuing and progressing properly. If you take 5-year period, within 1 year, then one would expect 1/5 of the projects to be completed on the average. But
very recently I have noticed that there is a independent research institute basically provide information about the progress that the government has achieved. So in that sense, I think it's a very good thing, because independent groups analyzing what the government promises for the people in their political manifesto 1 year back. I think it is very positively. They have basically progressed, and they have delivered most essential promises that they have basically promised with the people of this country. And if you really look at, they have looked at largely on the poverty elevation, because if you really look at Sri Lanka, we had a very serious situations where we had economic crisis, we had a COVID issue, we had other political instability, as well as the very recently Ditwa cyclone. Various natural and the human basically disasters we experienced during last couple of years, because that basically gave a very hard time for the Sri Lankans. So the government, based on that particular crisis, they have nicely come out with the manifesto, where they promise people to give them a mandate to deliver all these what they have promises in their political manifesto.
Deputy Minister of Industries and Entrepreneur Development Chaturanga Abesinghe says that plans are underway to make Sri Lanka a next Dubai. Addressing the Investment Sri Lanka Investor Forum in Dubai, he further said that in order to attract investors of UAE, the government is considering providing tax holidays for a period up to 15 years. He added that it is also planned to develop the Colombo Port City as economic, financial and trade center as a means to draw more UAE investments.
The Bank of Sri Lanka. And the digital transformation is real. Now if you come to Sri Lanka, if you get copped, you can pay that penalty online. That's a big transformation in Sri Lanka, right? So with that slightest thing, the GovPay has made all the government transactions to happen online going forward. QR's been enabled. We are thankful to Central Bank. Now any payment less than 5,000 can be paid without any cost. So these are changes that are tangibly taking place in our country on digital transformation, which has not happened for the last 30 years. For our exports, there's a huge potential on exports, both goods and services. You would see the momentum, especially agriculture sector is moving more than 20%, and the IT sector is doing very well. So if you really look at the export basket of Sri Lanka and the strategy that we are going to deploy for the next 5 years, you can pick your horses in export-oriented businesses in the stock market. And Port City is enabling Sri Lanka to become the next financial hub. We want Sri Lanka to be the next Dubai or Hong Kong, and obviously it's going to happen with the tractions that we are getting. So already there's a 3.9 billion worth of inquiries that has come to Port City. And Colombo is positioned to be hub of everything. So we have Ironman coming again on February. We have all the events, the global events are being planned in Sri Lanka. The newly built hotels are full of events. If you really come to Colombo for a few days, you would see this with your own eyes. And all our ports are demanding capacity. So anybody investing in the ports, the Colombo, the Hambantota, as well as Trinco, these three ports going to be the key three ports in the region in the next 10 to 15 years. And of course, we are bringing in the mineral policy this month, which we never had a mineral policy for the country. And the gems and the minerals will also, we are looking at more than $1 billion exports potential in a very short time. The stock market of Sri Lanka is not a gamble anymore. It's basically that you will be part of the journey as a strong stakeholder. That is what we invite you for, to really strengthen our capital market by being partners of it, not only looking at short-term small gains.
That's why it's important for us to see the future and what's the potential and how confident that future given the policies performance so far. Then on the fiscal policy, I think I'm confirm the government commitment. I think this is very positive statement made by both ministers, because fiscal is authority by the elected representatives by the people. So what we have seen historically, I haven't seen several administrative regimes are giving this strong assurance that they will maintain fiscal discipline for a period of time. All the time when what we are talking about is that we want to spend more, we will borrow more, or we will give a lot of subsidies or spend a lot of money, and nothing to talk about fiscal discipline or fiscal consolidation. That's what we missed in the past, in several decades. Now we can see the government revenues, expenditure can see revenues steadily increasing, both the tax and non-tax, and also key fiscal balances. You can see the primary surpluses. Third consecutive year primary surplus, we never had this again, as I said earlier. Historically, we never had 3 consecutive years of current account surpluses, except 2018, 19, the 2 years. This is the indication of the continuous fiscal discipline, and with the ministers elected by people are giving the assurance, that means demand for the people also is to maintain that stability. And that's important message to ensure that what is the future and the potential in terms of fiscal discipline.
The news on national television and more local stories. Well, South Asia's most focused and largest international boat and marine show, Sri Lanka 2026, held yesterday at the port city, Colombo. Well, the boat and marine show in Sri Lanka is organized to showcase the country's capabilities in recreational boating, yachting and marine tourism, boat building and related services for export and local markets to attract the younger age groups towards boating. In addition to the boat and shipbuilding sector, water sports events geared to the younger generation included wakeboarding and also water skiing, jet ski racing, windsurfing, catamaran and dinghy racing, and tri-boat event run by sailing clubs, fashion shows linked to a nautical theme, and fishing events and demonstrations. Other features included were music, classic car rally and a display of Sri Lankan culture displayed especially to those linked to the sea, events for school children, marine tourism and also Ocean Academy and the Sun and Sand Festival. The event has been organized by the Sri Lanka Marine Industrial Board and CDC Events Private Company with full sponsorship of the Ministry of Industries and Entrepreneurship as well as the Export Development Board.
Sri Lanka is an island. Island is defined by the sea. So we have a great potential from the industries like boats, and the theme attracted me actually, boating as a lifestyle. So to what extent boating as a lifestyle is prevalent in Sri Lanka is questionable for me. As I mentioned, we are an island, and the figures revealed by the chairman of EDB in terms of exports of the sector. So from the point of view of tourism, so there is a huge potential from this area. Developing that needs shows like this. So I strongly believe that this event and of course these kind of initiatives will play a very important or critical role in setting the platform for us to reach that untapped market potential of this huge market which is available around the world.
Showers will occur at times in northern, north central and eastern provinces and in Matale and Nuwara district. Fairly heavy falls above 50 mm are likely at places in northern province and in Trincomalee and Batticaloa districts. Several spells of showers will occur in Uva and northern western provinces. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in western Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in Galle and Matha district during the early hours of the morning. We'll be back with news overseas after a short break.
Welcome back to the news, and we head to international stories. And the tensions in the Middle East have reached a critical point as the United States issues a stern warning to Iran's Revolutionary Guard, stating it will not tolerate unsafe actions in the Strait of Hormuz, following Tehran's announcement of a live-fire naval exercise. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has accused international leaders of provoking domestic unrest, while top security advisor Ali Shamkhani vowed an effective deterrent response to any perceived aggression. Amidst a massive military build-up on both sides, Iranian Army Commander Amir Hatami claimed that recent combat experience has left the nation's missile and air defense systems in a superior state of readiness. Despite the heavy military presence and rhetoric of fingers and triggers, diplomatic efforts remained stalled. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi clarified that official negotiations with Washington are impossible. Welcome back, and heading into the world of sport. Well, the England team has recorded an 11-run victory according to the Duckworth and Lewis theory against Sri Lanka in the maiden fixture of the World Cup T20 cricket tournament played at Pallekele International Cricket Stadium yesterday. Well, the innings of the England team was restricted to 17 overs due to rain, and Sri Lanka team batting first were all out for 133 in 16 overs and 2 deliveries. Kusal Mendis hit 637 and Pathum Nissanka 23. A noticeable event was the England bowler Sam Curran making a hat-trick. He took the wicket of Dasun Shanaka in the 4th delivery in the 16th over. His next victim in the following delivery was Mahesh Theekshana. To fulfill the hat-trick, he got the 3rd wicket by ousting Matisha Pathirana. Accordingly, Sam Curran had become the 2nd bowler to record a hat-trick for England in a T20 match. England, needing 134 for victory, got into a good start with Butler scoring 17, Pilsalt 46. Rain hampered the play when England was 125 for the loss of 4 wickets at the end of 15 overs. Well, at this moment, the fate of the match was decided upon according to the Duckworth and Lewis method, securing the victory for the England team. The second T20 between the two teams scheduled to be conducted tomorrow. Well, hoping for favourable weather, it's time to end the news. Do enjoy the rest of the programs together with Sithu and Clifford. Wishing you a good night.